Welcome to the Dark Ozarks. We are discussing the Dark Underbelly of Route 66. Actually, this is part 2. But first, we want to remind you that the Dark Ozarks podcast is now available on Branson Podcast Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or about any other podcast platform. Route 66 is known as Americana incarnate. Freedom on the road, kitsch over-the-top attractions, a ribbon of asphalt out of time and space. So what is so dark about Route 66?
Route 66 was always more than just carefree adventure. Even when it was brand new, the myth of the freedom of the road was built around a few dark corners. Add in criminals on the run, kitsch locations that were not all family friendly, and throw in some very dark and spooky roadside stops, and you have the makings of a very dark underbelly to the Mother Road.
We will return to Route 66, but first we want to invite you to like, follow, and subscribe to Dark Ozarks on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, as well as your favorite podcast platform. We also invite you to become a Dark Ozarks subscriber on Facebook. On the Dark Ozarks Facebook page, click subscribe, have your login information ready, and join Dark Ozarks behind the scenes for only $4.99 per month.
Your $4.99 per month subscription allows you to come with us on paranormal investigations, deep dive research, and topics too controversial for public view. The next 100 subscribers will be entered in the drawing for a free Dark Ozarks t-shirt and an exclusive signed first-run copy of the book Dark Ozarks, The Spook Light. Subscribe today to be entered in the drawing.
And now you can get Dark Ozarks t-shirts for sale at darkozarks.com and paranormalsciencelab.com.
We encourage you to check out Always Buying Books in Joplin, Missouri, in person and online, on Facebook and at the website alwaysbuyingbooks.com for all your reading needs, including a large section on the paranormal, history, and more. Not to mention, the building is haunted. Tell Bob and Elise that we sent you.
We also want to thank Beard Engine Brewing Company in Alba, Missouri. Beard Engine Brewing is the only English-style brewery in Missouri and has been twice named Missouri's best brewery by the Missouri Brewers Association. Great beer and great food in a historical building with a noir past. And yes, their building is also haunted. Tell Nate and Tiff that we sent you.
So, the Dark Underbelly of Route 66, and although Route 66 is considered to be the quintessential road of America and known as the Mother Road, it would not have come to be had it not been for individuals in the Ozarks. The birthplace of the road is in Springfield, Missouri, which is on the Springfield Plateau in the Missouri Ozarks. And a good chunk of Route 66 runs right through some very rugged Missouri mountains.
It really does. It really does. And there's a tendency to bring the devil into the mix when it comes to places.
From beginning to end, both perhaps allegorically, and then, of course, looking at some of the true crime that has occurred, rather literally in some cases.
Yes. And at this point, Devil's Elbow, and I guess we should say in that particular instance, the naming is a nod to the fact that there is a particularly sharp bend in the Gasconade River that causes that would cause a lot of consternation and problems when they were floating logs down the river and when it was basically a thoroughfare for commerce. And so it was so dangerous of a bend, it was as dangerous as the Devil's Elbow, so to speak. And that's how it got its name. And then ultimately, the small village that grew up there ended up with the name as well.
And there are tons of place names associated with the devil in the Ozarks, both in Missouri and in Arkansas. It's incredibly evocative. It really does hint at something darker than actually in actuality it often is, as you mentioned with the bend on the river. Mm-hmm. More of a dangerous, problematic location, less than an occult site.
True. Very true. Um, and I've also often wondered if part of that is also a way of encouraging outsiders to stay away.
It could be. I mean, for those who are unfamiliar with with some of the naming in the Ozarks, you've got 5 Devil's Dens, 2 Devil's Hollows, 3 Devil's Den Hollows, 2 Devil's Wells, the Devil's Wash Pan, 2 Devil's Washboards, Devil's Cave, Devil's Courtyard, Devil's Kitchens, actually 3 of those, 5 Devil's Tea Tables, 2 Devil's Ice Boxes, even a Devil's Bake Oven, a Devil's Punch Bowl, a Devil's Sugar Bowl, and a Devil's Honeycomb.
Well, and then, you know, it just proliferates. And I do think that part of it is, I mean, and it doesn't even stop there. I mean, you have Boots, Devil's Run, Devil's Racetrack, the Devil's Chute, Devil's Horns, Devil's Fretwork, Devil's Tollgate, and then, of course, Devil's Promenade.
Which is markedly close to Route 66, Devil's Promenade.
Yes, that it is. It's a couple of miles as a crow flies.
And to contextualize it a little bit, to some degree, there is just the everyday simplicity that we might evoke in saying that was a devil of a hard time.
Yeah.
That in some cases nothing hidden or caution inducing was implied. It was a rough place. It was a rough time. But others, Devil's Promenade, which we'll talk about in the long format, actually does have ritual conjuring lore associated with it.
Yes.
Both of a traditional or fundamentalist Judeo-Christian expectation nature, as well as much older Native American or First Nation peoples lore. And that happens too. There is that that crossover from just a difficult time and place all the way to at least the implication of dark spiritual forces.
True. And I don't think it's by accident that we have so many of these locations so named, considering the large number of settlers being from Scotch-Irish background.
This is very true. And while it is easy to perhaps superficially dismiss all the naming and perhaps obsession with the devil as overzealous Christian fundamentalism, when you look at the lore, and sometimes even very dark lore, dating back even to pre-Christian Scotland, there is a touching through the veil that really is quite ancestral, and I think that certainly made its way across the Atlantic and certainly made its way into the Missouri Ozarks.
I agree, and I think, to be honest, this tradition of naming probably owes more to that lineage than the more modern religious lineage.
Very, very much agree on that, and certainly the earlier traditions. Interestingly enough, I think the earlier traditions, in some cases, unless you do go back, in some cases back to Appalachia, but certainly in the cases of going back to Ulster, to the Scottish lowlands, and really begin a point-by-point comparison in terms of traditional folklore and religious and occult beliefs, and then move forward. You really can't get a full grasp of the headspace of the settlers who were naming as they were coming into Missouri, as well as their perspectives coming into in some cases, very forbidding new land and a new era. And
Exactly.
it does not it does not do justice to look at it through a postmodern lens, and that postmodern lens includes looking at it through the lens of modern day horror films, modern day conspiracy theories, or even a quote unquote satanic panic tradition that
Right.
has existed in very modern times. It really has to be looked at contextually of the innate cultures of the people who are settling.
I agree very much. And that may be a good spot to jump off on to the long format video, which will be up tomorrow. We invite everyone to check it out, and we're going to be talking about a lot more of the themes of Devils in the Ozarks there. So check it out. In between, don't forget to check out upcoming events and merchandise at darkozarks.com and paranormalsciencelab.com. Thank you again to Always Buying Books and Beardage and Brewing Company for helping to bring the Dark Ozarks to everyone.
On the next episode, we are going to be discussing more mysteries of the Ozarks. Catch the Dark Ozarks podcast on Branson Podcast Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or about any other podcast platform. Thank you, everyone. And remember, there are no easy answers in the Dark Ozarks.